Real leaders give leadership away or give power away. Remember that. Real leaders give power away. If I know we've all run into the same people that just want to control it all right there, and they're going to give out dictates and orders to get things done. They're never going to have a base of people that are loyal to them, that are going to jump into the trenches and get it work. But you escalate someone up to a leadership position, you recognize them, their own leadership position, you give them the power to do their own thing. You have an ally for life.
Hi, I'm Natalie Flores-Racinos, social media specialist at NDTC. If you find this training helpful, please hit that like and subscribe. And if you want to dive deeper into this topic, check out the description below for more free political campaign training. Thanks for watching.
So my name is Chuck Cook, like Dale said. I'm going to do a little housekeeping at the top. He talked about NDTC. He talked about how many folks we train regularly. I want to let you know that what we're going to cover in the next 90 minutes is a pebble skip across an ocean of information. So I really want you guys to avail yourself of the website. Everything I'm going to cover is on there today, in addition to so much more information depth beneath it. So if you don't have an account with traindemocrats.org, I encourage you to get one. It's free. You can do the trainings at your own pace in your jammies at your house. You don't need to go anywhere, and it is a treasure trove of information that has been compiled over the last 5 years. So you'll see the social there on the screen. You'll see the website, traindemocrats.org, as well as the hashtag we use whenever we're talking about it. So please avail yourself of all of the resources on the website. So let's jump into it. We're going to talk about what a Democratic precinct chair is. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on me and why I absolutely love training on this. So I have worked on every level of campaign as a field director of a state party for a presidential election, down to city council races in small municipalities working on field. Field is what I love to do. It is everything to me in a campaign, especially at lower level races down the ballot, because that's where field can have a maximum impact. In low dollar races where name ID is tough to get out there and we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars of budgeting to get our name out, we knock doors, we talk to people, and we earn the vote one by one with each voter. So it's my favorite part about campaigning, and that's the area I've always worked in, is field. Additionally, I am an elected central committee member for my own county party. And what we set up in 2017 was the first precinct chair program, precinct team program in my county. And we have been keeping it going with fits and starts throughout, because it's a lot of work to get it done. But it's something that's very near and dear to my heart, because I think that precinct organizing is probably the most important thing that a county party can be doing at any given point, any time of the year, and whether you're in an election cycle or not. It's all about growing the party, feeding the base, being responsive to Democrats on the ground, and then eventually turning them out. And the most effective way with low dollar county parties like we all have, I know you guys struggle to raise money. I know every county party does, because you're not a candidate. You're not as flashy as a candidate, so it's tougher to raise that money. But it costs you almost nothing to talk to voters. And so if we can put our energy into that and organize our precincts individually, I personally believe that's the path to victory, especially in purple and redder areas where we struggle from time to time. So with that, let's move on to the next thing. You guys have been telling us where you're from. I would like to highlight Stephen Schiavone from Silver Spring, Maryland, because that's my home state. So he's now my favorite guy in this training. Just so you guys know, I'm a little bit biased for the state of Maryland. So I'm kidding, of course, but at the same time, I love to see you guys from all over the country: Atlanta, Indianapolis, New Mexico, Texas. Of course, we've got Pennsylvanians, more Texans, more Atlantans, Kansas. It's one of the things I love about the virtual live trainings is that instead of going to a single place and just talking to folks in that area, you guys are all over the place. So it's awesome. And we have an Ohioan too. Hello from Columbus. So let me ask you one more question. Does anyone here currently organize a precinct? Are they a precinct captain? Are they involved in a precinct organization? Does anybody want to put that out there. Is anybody doing it right now? Precinct development chair. June says yes. Okay. In Florida, a new precinct executive, 2,600 Dems in your precinct. Yep, that sounds about right. Just elected. Okay, so we're going to talk about that too, the difference between appointed and elected precinct captains or precinct chairs. Okay, so we got somebody from Fulton County in Georgia. We're going to have Fulton County on our map. You're going to see it later, Mary. We got Cranberry, North Carolina. Let's see, committee person in Philadelphia, in Texas. First-time candidate, South Carolina House District. Awesome. Congratulations. All right, so we've got quite a few people here who are doing it. So some of this may be a little bit old hat for you, but we're going to go over it, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the principles that I really want to drive home and what we need to do. Okay, so let's get ready to train. Like my kitty friends, take a deep breath. We got an hour and a half. I know we're all old Zoom heads now, which means you've probably been in, like I have for work, sometimes 4-hour Zoom meetings. But either way, take a stretch, make sure you're comfortable, and then we'll move forward. Let's talk about some of our live training norms. Obviously, number one is to be respectful. We may have different opinions here, so we just ask everybody to be respectful in the chat. Be present. I'm going to show you guys right now the number one reason why I am never present in a meeting. It is my iPhone. It is a constant problem for me, especially with my own adult ADHD. It's constantly pulling my attention away. So I ask that, put it face down and put it on silent for the remainder of this so that we can all be present here. And then last but not least, I want you guys to actively ask questions and participate. I am looking at the chat as we speak. I know Dale is monitoring the chat as well. So if any time during this presentation you need to ask a question, you need clarification on something that I've just said, please do not hesitate to just jump in there and say, hey, I got a question on this. There will be question slides in the middle of it, but really, I just want you to interrupt or put your question in the chat, and then I can address it as we see it. If I don't see it, Dale will let me know, and then we can move on from there. So let's talk about our objectives today. Recognize precinct chair responsibilities. That's number one, right? Otherwise, we're just somebody sitting in a seat and not really doing the job. We want to discuss electoral organizing in your precinct. And we're going to go over that, how much the build matters before the big show, okay? And then we want to understand tactics to maintain and engage precinct members after election day. So we get done with an election. How many of us have finished on election day and then we're just totally burned out and we wait until January or December to talk to people again or even start having another discussion? Then you're losing a great opportunity to keep these folks who just won an election or maybe lost it narrowly, still be involved and engaged. So we need to maintain and engage them after election day. If you have any questions about this particular training, you can email them to questions@traindemocrats.org. You see that is on the slide in front of you, okay? So let's move on to our icebreaker. So how have you interacted with your precinct chair in the past? You want to drop that in the chat. How have you interacted with your precinct chair in the past? And that can be positive or negative, but how have you done it? And I haven't yet, Susan says. Okay. Well, hopefully, Susan, you will be one. Not at all, so does Joanne. What else do you guys have? How have you interacted with your precinct chair in the past? All the time. That's great. Emails out to every precinct captain twice a week. I love that. Beg for support, but little give it. Okay, so you guys have a range here, right? From zero interaction to it looks like some pretty robust support. And the only time Stevens interacted is when he was the vice chair. Phone calls and emails. Okay, longtime precinct chair and CC secretary, love it. Susan doesn't even know who to contact. Rob's begging them to do work. Called all my voters and met many at the polling place. So it sounds like Catherine's doing a lot of the precinct organizing already. That's great. Okay, so there is a wide range here, and that's fine. That totally makes sense, right? Wherever we are in the country, there'll be varying levels of organization based on the county and state parties that are involved. So let's talk about our field plan. I'm going to ask you guys a a good question here when I get done. But the part of the campaign plan that details which voters a campaign needs to win and how to connect with them directly. I would add in here that it is data driven, personally, as a field guy myself, that it is a data driven part of the campaign plan that details which voters a campaign needs to win and how to connect with them directly. And let me ask you guys a question that will separate the wheat from the chaff. Is standing on the corner of a street with your candidate sign waving, is that field? Let me know. Is standing on the side of the street waving signs field? I love Kathy's exclamatory note. Karan is correct. It's visibility. It's visibility. So what do you guys think that differs from field? Why wouldn't that be field? Yep, data's not there. Not interacting, right? So field is talking to specified voters that you know are in your district and can vote for you, and finding out from them if they will, asking them what the issues are, and getting that data back into the system, right? Any of the sign waving stuff that people consider field is visibility, which is fine. We need visibility to get name ID up, but it's not, as I would call it, or as I would call it, field, right? We need to have direct voter contact and find out where our voters are and gather that data so we can make informed decisions later on for persuasion and GOTV, right? So what is a precinct chair? Anybody want to give me a quick definition of what they think a precinct chair is? And don't anyone say the chair of a precinct. Can't use the word to define itself. What is your definition of a precinct chair? What is a precinct chair? Now, we may need to actually define what a precinct is. Great thing is the next slide actually does that. Maggie wants to know my thoughts. Okay, good. Let's try it. To coordinate all activities, to educate voters, link between political party and local election, responsible for activities in the field, chair of a municipal committee that serves a specific ward and district, central organizer at the micro level. All of these are great, right? So you guys are all in the right field for what a precinct chair is. Let's talk about what a precinct is. The smallest geographical unit in terms of election administration, with each one usually having a polling location. Some of them share with other precincts. Any given county can be broken down into potentially hundreds of precincts. Local organizing infrastructure is generally built at the precinct level, each with a precinct captain. So if you think about it, and in the precinct program we have here in our county, you are responsible for the voters in that particular precinct geographically, right? That's your area of expertise, the communities that we want you to get to know, the binding glue between your local party and actual voters on the ground is how I would define a precinct chair. They have multiple duties, but more than anything else, a precinct chair is the face of the Democratic Party in their community. The person that anyone who is talking says, hey, I got a question, who do I talk to? And they should know who their precinct chair is to go talk to them, okay? So that's how I would define a precinct chair, specifically in that geographical unit to serve the people that live in that geographical area, okay? So let's look at, for instance, Fulton County, which is great because we have somebody on here. You can see exactly how we're splitting this up. And this is going to be different. Obviously, your counties here in Maryland, our counties draw our precinct lines individually. And then our state lines go around our precinct lines when they're finally drawn. But here in Fulton County, for instance, excuse me, you'll see everything with a number in it is a precinct, right? That's a geographical unit. And the best thing they try to do, the boards of elections or the Secretary of State's office or the county councils, depending on who has the governing authority to draw these lines, they try to create them so that they are generally close in size to each other, right? And that's going to change over the 10-year period of time, but you try to keep them so that there is generally the same amount of people in each precinct so that when you are servicing a voting location, for instance, you know that you can service up to so many thousand people for that voting location, which is inside of that precinct, right? Yes, Mary, that is a state house district, but I wanted to draw attention to the individual precincts within that. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about precincts, and we're being very specific in our language here that they are geographical areas that we want to focus on. So let's look at example of a local party's infrastructure, right? This is a big picture breakdown of your overall structure with your team's executive leadership, which then works with working committees, constituency groups, and precinct chairs, right? And we'll dive deeper into each of these sections in just a minute. And you can take a screenshot if you want to refer back to the overall big picture structure. But in order to accomplish our big goals that we have to grow our organizations in the off cycle, we know that we need strong structures and delegation of the work to ensure that we're able to meet our goals and metrics. And this is incredibly important, that last bit that I just said. If you build the infrastructure for this program to work effectively, then when you get a flood of volunteers at any specific time, you can land all of those volunteers into roles. So the worst thing that a local party could do is wait until an election and then start organizing, because at that point you're going to start having people come out of the woodwork and you're not going to have the capacity to handle them all. So one of the big reasons, one of the big reasons we want to organize by precincts is so that we have the capacity to handle the volunteers when it gets to actual election time. Joanne asks, is this chart similar to how Republicans organize? Sometimes in some areas, Republicans are not as likely as Democrats to have a precinct operation. In some states, they do. In most states, they do not. They are very top down as a party, and they normally come in with money to try to fill in all the gaps. Whereas the Democratic Party, a lot of times, we build from the ground up, or at least we should be building from the ground up. That's my intention here in our county, to ensure that we have people ready to go again. So our infrastructure is prepared and able to take in volunteers. We know we've got things slotted up and ready to go. So generally speaking, no, Joanne, they do it a little bit differently. So that's your big picture there. We got to think about infrastructure and build it. So example of a local party's precinct chair, right? You see the organizational structure is pretty straightforward. Someone had mentioned on here the only time that they dealt with the precinct chair was when they were a vice chair. And I'm sorry to hear that. But in reality, the precinct chair and the vice chair work together, right? Generally speaking, you could even have a team of 4 or 5, right? Sometimes precincts will go as far down as block captains. I have a few of my precincts that have block captains where they just have their block, their neighborhood, right? And they work directly with the precinct chair and the precinct vice chair. So you can have multiple roles here, right? But either way, the vice chair's job is to back up and help out the precinct chair. So let's look at that structure a little bit more. So your precinct chair is the connective tissue, right? Like I said earlier, between the county party and the precinct that makes up the county. The captains or chairs, we call them captains here, PCs, precinct captains. They take responsibility for building relationships with Democratic voters and recruiting people to get involved in the local progressive ecosystem, whereas the vice chair supports the precinct chair in their efforts to recruit, retain, mobilize Democrats, support in the neighborhoods that make up their community. Now, this is not a hard and fast rule. I have some of my precincts where it's a group of equals where they just split up the information, they work all together, and there's nobody in charge. I have precincts where someone has decided that they, everyone else is going to follow what this one person does as the chair and get it done. The important thing is that you have one person in those precincts that serves as the chair that can be the point person for conversations and make some decisions, right? And the vice chair is, again, supporting and helpful to help that precinct chair do what they need to do, right? So I apologize, guys. I'm getting over a cold, so I have a lingering cough that hasn't gone away. Thankfully, not COVID, just a regular cold in the month of June. So that's a lot of fun. All right. Thank you, Karan. I appreciate it. So let's look at example of a local party's precinct chair, right? The Georgia Democratic Party is at the top with the chair, right? The Fulton County Democratic leadership is the chair of the county party. The 54th precinct chair is one person, and then the 54th precinct vice chair is another person, right? And pull it all together and look at how the precincts will have a precinct chair and a vice chair. Fulton County, this is their breakdown there of how it would look, right? So let me ask you a question. If you guys know the numbers of them, I know right now, even though I'm working with all of my precinct chairs, I am the precinct captain of Anne Arundel County, precinct 715. Who here wants to call out the precinct that you organize in your county? The Fightin' 715. That's my precinct. Who knows their number? Precinct 252, 608, Fall Creek 12, 206, 127. All these numbers come in. You guys need to create little logos for it too, for fun. 507, plus you supervise 12 other precincts. Not an easy job, Rob. 5, Ward 12D, Precinct 16. Chair Carnegie, Ward 1, District 3. Mary says in North Fulton, we have precincts organized by cities. That's great. 802, Mag is in the 507. Okay, so we have our numbers, right? And this is kind of ingrained in us when we're in that area that we know that spot, right? I'm in the Fightin' 715. Maggie's in the Fightin' 507. Everything's the Fightin', and then there's a number in my world. Shelby 4, North Carolina. All right, precinct 516. So you guys, okay, so you guys know your precincts. You know where you're organizing. That's great. That's the way it should be. And actually, I also have 716 because no one else has that, so I'm picking it up. Is representative district the same? I'm unsure, Susan. I don't know what the exact terminology you might use in your own state. So specifically, a precinct is an area that is, again, drawn by the state or the county level. And it is defined a geographical area that we just fall onto when we do our organizing because it's an existing thing. So I don't know what a representative district would be, unfortunately. All right. So you're not a precinct chair yet, right? Every state differs with regard to how to become a precinct chair. One of the many reasons you need to be connected to your local Democratic Party if you are not already. Okay. Your Democratic Party's executive leadership can share about any precinct chair availability, criteria, and how to serve. So depending on the year and the state, you may be appointed to serve as a precinct chair, or in some states, you are elected and voted on at the ballot. And I know my friends in Illinois, they are elected on the ballot in Illinois. Here in Maryland, no such election exists for precinct chairs. It exists at the central committee level, which is normally done by legislative districts. And so that becomes our county party. And then we find people, volunteers, super volunteers who want to help, and we appoint them to that position of their individual precinct. That's our model here. Yours will differ, right? Not a precinct chair? Again, contact your local Democratic Party. Research any criteria to serve as a PC. That would be information you would get directly from your local Democratic Party. They would know that information. And then depending on the state, again, appointed or voted on. So that's important to know that. And it's important to know in which election cycle you're voted on. So maybe it's in a gubernatorial or a off year. Maybe it's in a midterm, or maybe it's on the presidential cycle, in which case you need to figure out exactly when that is and get on top of that to figure out where it goes, right? So what are some potential eligibility requirements? Well, the first case is going to be probably a resident of the county you serve in, be registered to vote, and be at least 18 years old. And there is a big asterisk there. Every state has a different requirements to serve as a precinct chair. However, these are probably the bare minimums, right? And some states may have different requirements, and they may have allow for some level of student participation in this role. So, for instance, we have no requirements internally in ours that would not allow a 17-year-old high-speed high school student who really wants to get involved and organize serve as a precinct chair. Okay. we would absolutely be open to that. And we want more younger folks to get involved. And they may not be able to vote in an election, but you know what? They can make the phone calls, they can have the one-on-one meetings, they can have the discussions with people, and they can do the organizing. So it's incredibly important that you figure out what your eligibility requirements are specifically to your area. Okay. Any questions right now? Oh, is precinct chair a formal position listed in state code? So I don't know in California. I know in Illinois, it is an elected position on the primary and the ballot. So your state will vary, right? I can't speak for what the law is in California. I can speak for the law in Maryland, and no, it's not a formal position listed in state code. It is a volunteer position with the county Democratic parties should they set up a precinct operation. So that's a good point, Chris, to look into California law directly, and also county law, or where applicable, municipal law, if that's the case as well, right? Party gets to define its own rules, determine what offices are elected, and the state then puts those offices on the ballot as directed by the party. So yeah, that's pretty familiar with my state as well. We just don't have those offices on our ballot. Is information about current chairs in Fulton County listed online? I am unsure. You would want to actually contact the Fulton County Democratic Party to find that out. Okay. I wouldn't know that, but they would definitely know if they have it listed or not. Okay. So moving on, and again, keep the questions coming, not just on the question side. Let's talk about organizing your precinct. We know what precincts are. We've level set what precinct chairs and precinct vice chairs do. Let's dig into how you're going to organize. All right. Discussion question. Let's get started right out of the gate. Can you name some of the responsibilities for a precinct chair in your state? What do you think are some of the responsibilities for a precinct chair in your state? Can you name some of the responsibilities? Getting voter lists for my precinct chairs, helping with GOTV, recruiting new members, familiarize voters with the ballot. Yeah, I love that one. Committee member recruitment and retention. Develop and maintain updated contact info lists. 100%. Yes. Yes. Register new voters. Educate. Promote. Organize meet and greets. Resource person for voters. Voter education. GOTV. Having small parties to recruit members. Keeping candidate info updated. Educate. So everything you guys just named, first of all of those are responsibilities for a precinct chair. Everything you just named, again, highlights connective tissue, county, state party, voters directly on the ground. Education was said 3 times in those areas, and that's absolutely right. So let me give you an example. We will do precinct walks where I will provide precinct chairs with lists to go and knock doors. And when we do go knock doors, we are asking them open-ended questions about issues that matter to them, right? We're giving them information about the next Democratic club meeting that's up. And then we're asking them if they want to get involved, engaged, and learn more information. So we're doing 3 things. We're providing value down to the voters, and we're gathering information from them and providing value up to the party and the electeds that are in their area, as well as the candidates. So the more information I can gather on folks that are in my precincts, that I am inviting to do something fun, come to a club meeting, where, it'd normally be at a restaurant, someplace where you can socialize. You're not asking them to do anything necessarily right out of the gate, but you are asking them, do they want to be more involved and engaged in the Democratic Party? Oh, by the way, here's some information on the clubs. Here's some information on the candidates that are coming up. You're providing that connective tissue, getting data out of them to be able to help your candidates later on, and giving them great information. So you are then seen as the spokesperson for the party in your community. So they will then reach out to you and ask specific questions. And I can tell you, we 100%, our precinct captains start getting people reaching out to them because they're seeing them out in the community more, and they become the visible face of the party. So it adds much more value having that direct connection, right? Hey Chuck, if time permits, please talk about club meetings. Yes, if time permits, I'll talk about club meetings, but let's roll through this first. But I'll remember that, keep that in the side of my brain here, Michael, for you. Okay. So, role of a local Democratic Party. Now, this is my favorite part, and the reason why it's my favorite part is because it is the part that everybody needs to have drilled in their head constantly in the Democratic Party. We, as a party, talk to voters 3 months out of every other year. When we are leaving on the table 18 other months, 21 other months in some cases, where we're not doing the work necessary to make sure those last 3 to 6 months are as successful as possible. So you'll see very clearly here, building relationships 75% of the time. Getting out of the vote is only 25% of the time, right? We have got to spend the time in every year that ends in 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 doing the work that will make us successful in every year that ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. And I can't stress that enough, is that party building is a year-round process. Does it mean you're working every single day? No. We have lives, we have jobs. I'm married, I have 3 kids, I have a full-time job. My wife works full-time. So how much time can you commit to it? I commit a couple hours a week, right? We need to have the phone calls. We need to do all the great events that you guys were putting into the chat, like, hey, we need to have a meet and greet. We need to set this up. And so we'll set up something monthly. We'll set up something quarterly. We'll do some walks in the neighborhood on a random May in an odd numbered election year to say, hey, what are you guys thinking about? Our Maryland General Assembly meets from January to April every year. What a great time to go talk to people and say, hey, these high-profile bills are coming out. What do you think about X, Y, and Z as a Democrat? And gather that information. That, again, building that relationship and gathering that information from Democrats on the ground allows you to then inform the candidates on what your own base is thinking about specific pieces of legislation, what's important to them. To better inform the electeds of what you're hearing on the ground. Again, providing that value up and providing that value down, okay? Excuse me. So that's your role, right? It's the 75% of the time. So let's look at a nice little circle, another version of it, right? That blue, 3/4 of the circle right there is reflecting on your prior election phase. Anybody here in the military like me, you do an AAR, an after action review? Anybody familiar with that term? We use it all the time. After we did a training exercise, we have to do an AAR, talk about what worked, what didn't work, what needs to be improved on, right? All right, Reno, Army, good. Go Army. That was my branch too. So you need to reflect on the prior election phase. You need to look back and say, okay, we could have done this better. This one was done really well. If we'd done this thing, we would have gotten more bodies out. If we'd done this voter registration drive, we could have run up the numbers in this area. By the way, we did great on the doors. Hey, the phones are good. The text banks are awesome. That kind of thing, right? Number 2, setting your short and long-term goals. We have quarterly goals of what we want to hit. That can be fundraising in your local party, right? But when it comes to our precinct program, what we're looking for is we have quarterly doors that we want to hit, right? And our goal, and we don't always hit it, but our goal is to do 1 round through at the doors of every registered Democrat in the precinct, 1 time through. So you split up your list of all your Democrats and you put them into 3 Saturdays, 1 each month. So give yourself 1 Saturday a month, for instance, and you knock out as many doors as you can with your precinct team, hoping to get through the entire universe 1 time in a quarter. And then you repeat that every quarter, right? You set your long-term goals. I want to make sure I have, precinct captains. If you're running the entire program, I need them in these areas. I need this in 1 year's time to be ready, right? Continuously assessing capacity. Can I take on volunteers in the middle of an election right now if I needed to do it? No. Or yes. Yeah, no, I've got the ability to do that. Can I meet these goals? Do I have enough precinct team members or block captains, if that's your model, to be able to hit all these doors in 3 months? Identify and fill leadership roles. Are you a precinct chair? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you need a vice chair? Do you need a data captain in that case? Do you need someone who's just a walk captain or a volunteer recruitment captain? Right. So that can come through by identifying and filling leadership roles, and then strengthening relationships and partnerships. How close are you to your Democratic club and your Democratic club's leadership? How close are you to constituency groups in your county to let them know what you're doing and working on? Have you built relationships with environmental organizations, with labor unions, with folks who would be amenable to helping you out with the program that you're in? That's strengthening relationships and partnerships. And that's 75% of what you're doing. That's January, December of this year to, June, May of 2024. That's what you're doing in that time frame. And then, of course, we're in right now the priorities for the election phase. Activating the supporter networks you've built because you have strengthened those relationships and partnerships. You've filled the leadership roles. You have the infrastructure ready to go. And converting supporter enthusiasm into coordinated action. Hey, I've talked to 55, 65 Democrats here that really want to get involved and engaged. Cool. Well, they're all getting a phone call. I need to bring them all in. Hey, it's election time. Let's roll and manage and motivate those volunteers. You've got the infrastructure built. You spent the 75% of the time doing the incredibly important work to get to this next level and do it. And Corinne says, yes, community power mapping, 100%. Mary Barron says, what are you referring to by constituency groups? So we have indivisible groups in our county, for instance, that are not necessarily plugged in with the Democratic Party but could be. We have a chapter of Our Revolution in our county that we can tap on and talk to about helping to do community organizing. We have, like I said, if you've got unions in the area, if you've got environmental organizations in the area that you have shared ideas with, these are the constituency groups that I mean. Okay. And then we got another question up here. In Texas, we don't register by party, so we would work through all the folks who are primary voters, ? June says, we use Vote Builder to pull lists of people who voted in Democratic primaries. Exactly. Indiana is another state where you do not register for a particular party. And that's what I would say too. If you guys are not using Vote Builder, you should be using it. I'm pretty sure, I think there's only 2 states in the country that use something different than Vote Builder. If you're in a county party structure, it should be provided to your county parties by your state Democratic Party. Again, don't take my word for that. Contact your state Democratic Party or county Democratic Party about that. But yes, we use Vote Builder for everything in ours. And so I know California was PDI. I knew that's one of the states, right? Using Vote Builder, but the data is highly controlled, trying to break that grip. Yep, I understand. People have different. That's what I'm looking for here. Different voter files programs that they like to use. Mine is absolutely Vote Builder, though, for what it's worth, because I know that it's controlled by the DNC, and I know that data is safe because it is under my party's control. I do not trust organizations like Nation Builder or other privately owned and privately held data organizations because I'm not sure what they do with that data. So that's my own preference. It's up to you. Obviously, if you have PDI in California and that's coming from the county, city, the state party, then that's something you want to use what they provide you there. Okay. So, and yes, not only does the GOP use Nation Builder, but the CEO of Nation Builder said in January of 2017, Nate bragged 2017. He said, Nation Builder is the reason why Donald Trump won. So I have a problem with that. That's just me. And again, you can use your own thing, but when the CEO of a company tells me he's proud to have elected Donald Trump, probably not going to use your product. That's just me. Just how I feel. But anyway, next, let's look at the next slide. Campaign. Any effort to organize time, money, and people into a plan to achieve a particular goal. In democratic politics, campaign generally refers to a candidate's campaign to win an election and assume an elected official position, or a coordinated campaign where candidate campaigns and the local Democratic Party combine efforts to support a slate of Democratic candidates or ballot measures. Man, that's a mouthful just to say campaign, right? So let's look back here real quick. Your 75% blue circle. If you're going to do a coordinated campaign and you do that part really well, hell, you're ready to go. You're coordinated, right? You have the capacity to build. And when your candidates come and say, oh my God, I need some help. It's the first time they've ever run. Cool. We've got this precinct operation. We have a lot of volunteers already involved. We have a precinct team set up and ready to go. We want to be as helpful as possible, right? So that is a campaign. And man, that is almost a run-on sentence. I love how long it is. Nope, it's 2 sentences. My bad. I didn't see the period. Okay, so look at the common characteristics of a campaign. Shared SMARTY goals. And we're going to talk about SMARTY goals coming up. But I want you to see shared SMARTY goals. Coordinated actions or events. Developing member and leader skills. Building relationships with community members and coalition partners, right? So we'll get into SMARTY goals, but I want to make sure you understand the acronym. It means specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, time-bound, inclusive, and equitable. All right. We also want to talk about the fact that we develop coordinated actions or events. So if I have a precinct operation ready to go with 5 or 10 volunteers in that area, I have a coordinated action that's going to be able to bring in more people. I can also take some people, escalate, train them, and coach leaders into those roles because I already have those volunteers in place. I've already set up those relationships or kept them going in that 75% time frame, right? And then I have the capacity right out of the gate to recruit and maintain members. Develop the skill-based capacity for an organization's leader and members. So I've got, 299 precincts in my county. Oh, wait, 199. I just gave myself twice the level of job than I thought. I have 199 precincts. If I get enough of those filled and people know how to run data and run walk lists, right, I'm building that skill base for those folks. I don't have to turn around and do multiple trainings right at the beginning of a campaign when I don't have the time to do it. They're already ready and set to go. And they build relationships with community members and coalition partners. And that goes back to what I was saying about constituency groups, people who are in areas not necessarily regularly talked to except by precinct captains in neighborhoods that need that extra touch. We have those relationships built and we're ready to use them when we're jumping into a coordinated campaign. Okay. Phases. Now, this is incredibly important. Let's look at the phases of our campaign cycle. You'll see you've got candidate campaign, local party, and both. And in nowhere in here is the candidate campaign doing anything on their own. I'm going to want to point that out to you, right? That light blue is nowhere here. We are either, excuse me, as the local party, working alone until candidates pop up, or we're working together, right? And the way that works is donor recruitment and engagement, right? That's something we can work on together. And this is, and I want to make sure that I'm drawing some hard lines here. In states where you cannot coordinate with Democratic candidates during a contested primary, you may not share some of these things, okay? So what we want to say is, for the purposes of this training, we're talking about when it says start of election cycle, we mean immediately after the primary, okay? So immediately after the primary on this one, right? We can help with donor recruitment engagement. We can help them with volunteer recruitment and escalation, right? And if we've been doing our job, we should have volunteers ready to go or have the ability to train them ready to go. Ongoing recruitment, engagement, and escalation, that is a 365-day a year job, whether you're in an election or not. Recruiting, engagement, and escalation. Data acquisition and maintenance, collecting emails and phone numbers. Every event you have, I would hope everyone on this call, every time you hold an event, you're capturing names, cell phones, and email addresses, right? Every time. We want to make sure we're getting that information and we're putting it back into our voter database to ensure we are keeping good, solid track of who our volunteers are, who showed up at which events, who needs to be called back, who needs to be set up for a one-on-one call, right? Now you'll see persuade all voters to support a candidate or slate of candidates in yellow. Yeah, that's a party job as well as a candidate job. The vote by mail chase, which is getting much, much more use now, as you can obviously imagine because of the increase in vote by mail. I am sorry to those of you on this Zoom who are living in states where the Republicans are actively attacking that. But a lot of states are also expanding it right now, so it's becoming much more popular. Vote by early vote, GOTV Chase Together. We're going to have a early vote session coming up here. Our primary is coming up on July 19th, so we're getting close to that. And then, of course, Election Day GOTV. Escalation is taking someone and making them, so for instance, you have a one-on-one with someone who just loves a door knock. And I say, you know, it would be really great if you would run a canvas. I like to escalate you to a leadership position where you're going to help me and we're going to double our efforts, because now that you know what you're doing, you can train other people to do it too. And then bring them in a captain role, just like Quran says, from supporter to volunteer to captain. Exactly. And so every time we're moving from one to the other, we're escalating. Okay. Now you'll see 3 areas where the local party pretty much does it all on their own. And that's base listening and persuasion to participate in the voting process. And that's everything I just talked about with you guys before, right? We're talking about that 75%, right? Is, hey, I'm knocking on your door today. Here's some information about the upcoming club meeting. We'd love to have you join us. What are the issues that matter most to you? We'd like to talk to you. I'm a Democrat. You're a Democrat. Let's have a conversation, right? Voter registration, that's mostly on the local party. Campaigns don't have a lot of capacity to do that because they have to spend a lot of time doing persuasion or GOTV. So they lean on local parties to continue doing voter registration drives and reverse walk lists, they call them, which is the most effective way to do it. And I'm going to go on the side here and just let you know that if you want to do voter registration, you should be doing a reverse walk list. And you're going to say, what is a reverse walk list, Chuck? Well, let me tell you. If you go and find a precinct, and I go through my county and I try to find these precincts where voter registration is a lot lower than the number of adults in the household, and the precinct also votes predominantly Democrat, then I'm going to pull a list of every voter in that district, knock on the door. Thank you, Chris. Knock on the door of everyone who's not on my list. You guys follow me here? I'm looking for a low registration place that has high Democratic performance, and I'm going to go pull a list of everyone and knock on every door that's not on my list. And I'm guaranteed to talk to someone at the door who's not registered to vote, who, if they're living in a precinct where it's much more likely that when they do register, they'll vote or they'll register as a Democrat. For those of you in states where you don't register by party, the same holds true. You would pull a list of a primary, of a precinct that votes very heavily in one primary in the Democratic primary. Okay. Susan, I'm going to give you my email later. We can talk about it for sure if you want to send it out there. And now, a reverse walk list is much more effective than setting up at a county fair, setting up at a community event, because you never know who's going to come by and where they are. Not to mention that, but you don't know where they're registering to vote. They might be out of county, they might be out of district. You are picking the precinct and you are targeting that precinct for voter registration. So it's the most effective way to do that. And then you're having door-to-door conversations with folks too, okay? All right, next, let's talk about our SMARTY goals. Specific, the goal is clearly defined. Measurable, it has defined metrics and performance indicators that will be tracked. Actionable, consider what limits exist on your human, monetary, and time resources. R, relevant, goals should be connected to the organization's mission and purpose. I cannot tell you how many campaigns where I've been on where someone's come up with an idea to do something and I ask them straightforward, how many votes does that get us on election day? It's the only question I care about. How many votes does that get us on election day? Right? And is it measurable and relevant? It's time bound, has a clear time frame. Just like every election has an expiration date, every one of your goals should have clear time bound. It's inclusive. It considers the potential inclusionary and exclusionary impacts of the goal. Are you leaving certain communities out? Are you leaving certain groups of people out? Are you bringing them in? This needs to be thought of. And is it equitable? How do your goals advance justice and access to representative democracy? And that should be, at the end of the day, we as Democrats should always be thinking how or what we're doing, other than just getting this one person elected. How is it furthering and advancing the goals of justice and access to representative democracy. Because the more access to representative democracy, when I ask you that question, how many votes does this get us on election day? You'll say all the votes, because it increases access to representative democracy, which is incredibly important, right? So these are your SMARTY goals: specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, time-bound, inclusive, and equitable. All right, and we'll go through that a little bit more. What do you think would be a SMARTY goal for organizing your precinct that may be part of your local party's field plan? What do you think would be a SMARTY goal for organizing your precinct that may be part of your local party's field plan? And I'm going to leave this screen up here while you're thinking about it. Question again: what do you think would be a SMARTY goal for organizing your precinct that may be part of your local party's field plan? Here are your SMARTIE areas. You guys have recruit precinct captains for 75% of the precincts in the county. By what date? Right? Because we're time bound, right? Time bound. Continually reach out to people who rarely vote. My field plan will reach out to the voters with a strong voting record, right? Okay, Mary. And we're looking for, so for instance, and I'll give you guys one real quick, just to give you an idea. We want to recruit in majority minority districts, a certain percentage of precinct chairs that are African American or Hispanic, depending on where we are, by a certain date, specifically to fill those roles so that they are reflective of the communities that they're in, right? So that's going to give me everything that's specific, measurable. I'm talking about inclusivity. I'm talking about how it's equitable, time bound by a date. It's relevant to what I'm trying to get done. It is actionable, which is something I can get done. I want to increase it by 10%, right? And it's measurable, so I can see exactly how I'm doing it. Right? Everybody follow me there? You want to follow all these through, and that's going to give you the very, I hate to use the word specific because it's the first of the SMARTY, but it gives you some specificity all the way down the line of goals you need to meet that are measurable, actionable, relevant to what you're doing, and you have a firm time bound on them, and they are inclusive and equitable, right? Boost number of registered Democratic-minded voters in my precinct by 10% by the general election. Okay, so you have a date, you've got an amount, the number of registered Democratic-minded voters. Okay, yeah. See, this is the way I want you guys to think: is that you are planning, and you're planning to a calendar, and you're planning to measurable goals that you're going to get through. That's what SMARTY is. Okay. Any questions right now? I think I missed a few. Let me see if I scroll back up. Ding, 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 ding. Joanne asked, in this process, where's the feedback loop for voters and counters to impact candidates' thinking? What do you mean by that, Joanne? What is the feedback loop? Do you mean how am I getting information? Let's see. I think if you mean by feedback loop, you want to get information from the voters back up to the candidates or electeds. It's the reason why I use the Vote Builder to capture information on what they're telling me at the door. So I can report up what the notes are from the conversations. That's part of that feedback loop. Is to make sure that information gets in and is processed correctly, right? What is the rule or best practice during primary cycle? Are you able to share who you are personally supporting? No, I am not sharing that. But the rule or best practice during primary cycle is, my name is Bennett and I ain't in it. So as an elected member of the County Democratic Party, I stay clear of primaries. It befriends no one, and it is strictly against the rules that I set for myself. I want to stay as far away from primaries and let the best person come out on top as the nominee. That's just my own personal rule, and that keeps me out of trouble and getting yelled at by a lot of people too. Because no matter who comes out the other side, we have to help that nominee in the general election. That's the most important thing to me. Alicia asks, is it permissible to create a friendly competition with neighboring precincts on increasing voter participation goals? I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Not only is it permissible, but I am going to grant that as a great idea that needs to be done. Nothing wrong with a little bit of friendly competition. A little cross precinct rivalry is great. And Coran says probably against the bylaws of the local club or committee when it comes to getting involved with primaries. That's a good point. How should precinct captains keep track of information about their voters? Vote Builder or your preferred contact management tools that you have. Okay, you want to be able to always put information back in so that you can generate reports on conversations you've had and everything going forward. Okay, so community listening campaigns. This is a great opportunity, and many of you said this in here about community listening campaigns, right? Engage your community listening tour. Campaign requires you to train your members up on how to actively listen, engage in values-based conversations, and learn to identify issues through a series of one-on-one or small group conversations with community members. Your organization can ask them what matters most to them in the community, and they've all shown up and they're filling out your forms. So you've got all their information, Catherine. You're putting that all back into your content management system, back into Vote Builder, right? So you know that when these one-on-ones were held, you know everybody was there. You can do follow-ups with them as well, right? So the feedback loop on that would be following up on them one by one to say, hey, this is the conversation we had, or holding another community meeting based on the feedback that you've had. Hey, we got a lot of interest in criminal justice reform, for instance, and we want to have that conversation. We got a lot of interest in healthcare reform, so we want to have that one too. So that allows you to get a really good beat on what's going on in your precinct, on what the Democratic voters there care about, and then be able to tailor your community listening campaigns from there. In addition, whoever's taking notes can let the electeds know in that area, right? Hey, this is what we're hearing on the ground, so we think it's important that you know, right? Policy accountability and advocacy. So this is another thing I talked about earlier when I said during Maryland's General Assembly period, we're talking to voters on the ground about specific bills that we like, saying, hey, listen, can you contact so-and-so legislator about this and get their support? Can you contact so-and-so senator and ask them not to vote for this bad bill, right? And we do that automatically just to keep them engaged. A lot of our voters, and a lot of your voters, people in your states, don't know. They really don't know when the legislature is meeting. It's much more, it's more opaque. State level government, county level government is. Everybody who's engaged knows a lot about federal politics, but as you go down that line, people tend to know a lot less. So that policy accountability and advocacy piece, where you're talking to people in your precincts about getting involved in that, takes away some of the opaque nature of local government and puts them more in hands and makes them more emboldened to then see what's going on, be horrified at what some Republicans are doing, and get more engaged in the next election when it comes to the Democratic candidates. So policy accountability and advocacy is another big part of what you want to be doing as a precinct organization. And coalition campaigns, right? Local parties, they have to maintain active engagement in coalition with other Democratic and progressive organizations. There may be campaigns driven by the partners and coalitions that you can actively contribute to and say, hey, you know, Indivisible is doing a town hall with delegate so-and-so about this issue. We want to make sure all of our precinct people know about it and everybody in our precinct does. You want to bring them out for that, right? It's critical that we are willing to show up for our friends and actively support their efforts, because that will redound to your benefit, right? If you're the local party that's never involved and never engaged, and there are, you know, multiple groups in your county that are doing different advocacy work in different areas, then they're never going to turn to you. They're never going to ask for anything. And when you turn and ask them for anything, they're going to say pound sand. And you can't blame them for that, right? You were never there to show up when they asked for it. So how can you expect them to show up for you? So it's incredibly important to be engaged and involved with whichever progressive organizations are working at the county level, and make sure that overlap is there and you build those strong relationships, because these coalition campaigns then feed on themselves and you get more and more and more people involved that you never thought was even possible, because you have different groups reaching out to different people that you may not have access to. And the same applies for them. They want to be able to partner with you because you're going to have access to folks on the ground in the precinct if you've been organizing to be able to help them out with their campaign, creating a really great feedback loop on volunteer participation and building both organizations, the local party and the coalition partner. Okay. So it's incredibly important. Coalition campaigns are there, and please avail yourself of them. So, voter recruitment and education. Finally, election day is always coming. There's always another election, right? We unfortunately live in a time period where a lot of people think that they only have to vote that one time, and then they're bothered that you're asking them to vote again. And voting is a constant activity. It doesn't stop with an election. It continually goes on and on. So, continuing to register voters, educate community members about voting processes, and recruiting leaders or escalating existing volunteers into leaders to run for local office is the work of local parties 365 days a year. And I can say very proudly that one of my first precinct captains back in 2017 then became our county's clerk of courts, got elected in his own right. So he is now the clerk of courts. Another precinct captain I have is running for judge of orphans court. So if you're escalating people up and you as a leader are teaching them to lead on their own, all you're doing is building a stronger and stronger network, because now you have a countywide elected official. It's like, hey, if you're a Democrat, you should be part of the precinct program. He's going to proselytize that message, right? As will the next ones that get elected. And they're going to lead, right? And it's only going to make it build it bigger and stronger and better, right? Clerk of courts is a partisan position. That's exactly right. Yeah, we have a lot of what I like to call patronage positions in the state of Maryland that are still elected that are partisan. Clerk of courts, the register of wills, the judge of the orphans court, right? And it depends on the state. That's correct, Mary. Every state's a little bit different on that issue. We have a lot of local offices that are still partisan. And in your state may vary, may be different, right? They're called administerial in Georgia. Okay. Let's see. One way to avoid it, let me see what these questions are. Not every voter contact made has to be digital. It's just cheap and works when you execute a plan with sheer volume. Community listening should be part of the outreach stack. Absolutely, Corinne. It should absolutely. Community listening is incredibly important. That individual touch face to face and listening and truly actively listening, not arguing, because you're going to have people that may not be happy with the local Democratic Party. It's truly listening and sitting in that criticism is incredibly important. And Daniel says one way to avoid inundation is to make sure everyone is using dynamic saved searches. So this is a thing about Vote Builder. He's absolutely right. So if you guys take the Vote Builder course done by NGTC, they'll drill into that information some more. So moving on. We have a poll ready to go. I don't know if you're still there, right, Dale? Yep, there it is. So are you ready to organize your precinct? I'm already going strong. I'm ready to go now. I need some more information. Please drop it in the poll. Okay. 16, 17 answered so far, up to 21. 24, 5, 7. You guys are all answering now. Great. All right. I think 28 might be it. All right, let's end this poll. Or we're going to leave it up. No, we're going to, cool. So you can see the numbers on the screen now. I'm assuming everybody can see that now. We got a full 69% of you that are going strong, or you're ready to go now, which is great. We've got about 31% that need more information, which is fine. You know what? As a precinct captain, I'm going to tell you right now, sometimes I still need more information. Oh, how can I do this better? What can I do? How can I make this happen? I need details on this or that. So be not afraid and let your heart not be troubled, or let not your heart be troubled. Let me say that correctly. There's always more information to learn. There's always more areas to grow in. So let me hit the share the results so you guys can see them. All right, they're right there on your screen. Well, thank you, Colleen. Outstanding training. You answered many of my unframed questions. Lucian says, need to pinpoint structure and people and opportunity in my area. That's right. This is where I break out the big old piece of paper and start writing all my notes down. Just start, okay, where do I need to be? Where? When? Okay, what are my time frames? Let's start putting it all together. And who controls what and who makes what decision on where, right? Somebody mentioned community power mapping earlier. That's an incredibly important tool to use, community power mapping. And if you haven't taken the power mapping course by NDTC, please do so. It's invaluable to really wrap your head around, who are the players, who does what, who's connected to who, how do these things all lean on each other. It's incredibly important. All right, I'm going to stop sharing these and we're going to move on. We've got about 20 minutes left together, so I want to get through this. All right, how you maintain relationships in your precinct. How do I recruit more active members of my precinct, right? A lot of ways we can build relationships. Some of this in your precinct may be not only folks currently involved, but folks you want to get involved. And I will say not may, it will. You would definitely want to get more people involved, right? There's no may about it. You got to get folks in. It takes an army to win an election. It takes an army to take back a county from Republican rule and to roll back some of these troglodytic ideas. Never thought I'd say troglodytic in a training, but here we are. So this can even be a great activity post-election, right? For all the folks who were involved in your precincts, that you can give them an opportunity to further impact their community. And I will say this, and I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Right after an election is exactly when you want to relax and not want to think about elections anymore, but is the absolute best time, to get a hold of every volunteer that came out of the woodwork during the election. Thank them personally. Send them a card if you want. Have them over at your house or at a community event and do a barbecue or something that requires no work on their part as a thank you. Keep them engaged. I can't stress how important that is and how much it matters to your volunteers. Remember that every volunteer you ever get, including yourself, is giving up something they can never get back, their time, to do something that is bigger than themselves. And for that, no matter how small the volunteer ask was, how many phone calls they make, how many doors they knock, it's something. And it deserves to be treated with respect, kindness, and dignity, and they deserve to be thanked for it. And when they are, it just takes a little bit. What do you need me to do next? Glad you asked. Glad you asked, right? I love a post-election gathering, a thank you, right? And now we normally do it in December as a holiday party to thank everybody from the election. That's the easiest time to do it because it's already planned and everybody gets invited. It's a volunteer. It's free of charge. We want to make sure everybody feels included and part of the process. And we want to thank you. Win or lose, we did a hell of a lot of work together, right? Win or lose, we gave up many of our Saturdays with our families. If you're like me, you take your kids to walk with you so that it becomes a daddy-daughter day. But either way, you're giving up time and energy. And you're giving up time and energy for a cause that you believe in. And when someone comes down and says, thank you so much, it really mattered to me. I really needed you. When I could count on you, were there. People are immediately ready to say, how can I help out and get more involved? Glad you asked. Let me talk about this precinct program, right? And that's your immediate availability or your opportunity, to then transition them into that role and escalate them up into a leadership role within the organization. Real leaders give leadership away or give power away. Remember that. Real leaders give power away. If I know we've all run into the same people that just want to control it all right there, and they're going to give out dictates and orders to get things done. They're never going to have a base of people that are loyal to them, that are going to jump into the trenches and get it work. But you escalate someone up to a leadership position, you recognize them, their own leadership position, you give them the power to do their own thing. You have an ally for life, right? So real leaders give power away. And that is what you are doing with the precinct program. You're saying, I trust you to get this job done. I trust that you have the skills, the capabilities, the drive, and the energy to do this. So give power away. If you're a leader, it will come back to you tenfold. I promise you that. And then, of course, we got our little circle here of everybody that we can talk to. Everybody and anybody. It's campaign time, right? And for me and for you guys on this call, it's campaign time all the time. So I use the same phrase: ask everything of everyone all the time. Ask everything of everyone all the time. So not just this circle, anybody else you can think of as well. Okay. So how do I maintain energy after election day? Canvas, that's in an asterisk, of course, depending on COVID rates in your area and the comfort level you have for it. Phone banking Democrats in your precinct to thank them voting this year and invite them to the next virtual event. Great way to do it. You've already talked to your volunteers. Let's start building for the next community event in January, right? Have informal virtual coffee and conversation sessions or one-on-one meetings to discuss issues important to your community. And this is in that December, January timeframe, you're gearing back up, right? Know your neighbors. Encourage them to get neighbors involved in democratic politics. And if you're doing a precinct operation, guess what? You're already getting to know your neighbors. When I moved here in 2016, lived in another part of the state. I moved here in 2016. I know everybody in my neighborhood now because I went and knocked on their doors. I'm sorry, let me change that. I know every Democrat in my neighborhood right now because I went and knocked on all their doors as part of the precinct program, right? So it's really great that you, again, bring them back in and then bring in some new people, but you've always got that pipeline of folks to draw on. I highly recommend Mobilize to engage voters in events. It not only feeds in demand, but it also sends them a text reminder that includes the link to the meeting. Also a big fan of Mobilize too. Thank you, because it does it does work seamlessly. You can send out a text real quick. People can sign up really fast, so it's great. It can get expensive. That's true. So there are pros and cons to everything. But I just want to make sure I did give my little mark of approval for Mobilize for what it matters to you guys. All right. Building relationships through virtual events, increasing engagement, amplifying visibility, sharing the message, right? So you've thanked everyone for voting, encouraging folks to reach out to others in the precinct. You want to be able to have events to engage them. People's motivators and their activation, persistence, and intensity can provide us with valuable information on how to strengthen these relationships and give volunteers the best leadership opportunities to both help them succeed based on their skills and interests, right? You don't want to put somebody that hates phone banking in charge of phone banks, but loves knocking doors, right? You want to help your organization's capacity grow. Virtual events are great. And even though a lot of us may be zoomed out, I would think most of you would agree with me that there are times when I have 2 or 3 meetings in a night. There's no way I could possibly make them driving around the county to hit them at the right time. But I can duck in and out of Zoom rooms. And I've got a lot of folks who work, get home late. They don't have time to drive back out. They're less likely to attend an in-person meeting because of how busy they are. But they're no problem opening up the app on their phone or on their computer. So I still believe strongly in virtual events for that very reason. If properly recruited for and confirmations are done correctly, it is always possible, almost always possible, to get a larger turnout for a virtual event than it is for a live in-person event, okay? It removes the challenges of weather, sure. It removes the challenges of organizing a space and making sure it's available. Potentially you having to spend money to reserve a space if a library is not available or a community center, exactly, around cost takes that away too. And easily promotable on social media in a way to get more people out there that may have not engaged unless they saw that event and aren't going to drive somewhere. It's an easy way to get people who are, want to dip their toe in the water but don't feel like driving 20 minutes across county to do it, Okay. So 100% totally believe in it. And environmental impact. Absolutely. Child, transit, all accessible for all. Makes our party more inclusive to the disabled and economically challenged, which goes back to our SMARTY goals. I want to hold virtual meetings specifically for the equitability and inclusion. Do I want to exclude members of the disabled and economically challenged communities? No. But if I have these events, then I can now put in that inclusivity and equitability piece or equity piece that's going to allow me to do these more. Should we still have one-on-one meetings? Of course, right? We still need to have those set up, but we want to provide options and opportunities for everybody, right? Okay. Hybrid meetings. I do a lot of hybrid meetings, right? Are events like phone banking best done virtually as well? I love a virtual phone bank. I don't need to have a space. I don't need to provide phones. I don't need to provide computers. I don't need to be at a physical location. I can do it right here from my house, run a virtual phone bank through Zoom, and be able to attend to my children in the room behind me if need be. So I love it. My virtual phone banking just made everything so much easier when we moved from a fixed location to a virtual phone bank. So I love it. Okay. Ways to go live with your precinct: virtual coffee conversation event, virtual forums on community issues, and of course your Facebook group. So you want to have a virtual event. What do you focus an event on so people will show up and attend? Well, again, this is that feedback loop. If you're talking to people regularly, you're getting an idea. Hey, if we were to do a virtual event, what would you want to hear? You can poll people. That's going to raise your engagement on social media. It's going to raise your engagement with individual people when you're talking to them. What would you like to see, right? You can have a lot of virtual events. A virtual coffee conversation event, a welcome event to brand new people that want to get involved, want to dip their toe in it. A great way to have an informal welcome session. Wonderful community building to help folks feel comfortable, do icebreakers, learn a bit more, okay? And you want to do some confirmation calls ahead of your event to encourage folks to attend and make sure they have information they need in order to participate. So again, you want to raise engagement and get more people talking about being involved in and wanting to be part of an energetic, enthusiastic local Democratic Party. You want to have these events, put them out there, try to get as many people in. If you even want to do paid ads online, to try to boost the numbers and get into more people's feeds, I strongly recommend that if you have the budget to do it. Get more people in, ask substantive questions, collect all the information on them so you can put it all back into the database and keep building this out. Question: what is the rule best practice on hosting an outdoor volunteer recruitment event at a brewery located in the precinct, or should you stay away from places that serve or sell alcohol? It really depends on your comfort level. I don't steer clear of places that serve alcohol for our events. We will do happy hours, but at the same time, we'll have other options that are either, receptions without alcohol for folks that want to steer clear of it. So you give multiple opportunities. Some people are going to want to get together and they're going to want to drink a beer, right? I've been to countless fundraisers at breweries, local breweries specifically, because they're locally owned. It really comes down to your comfort level and the comfort level of the people that you're inviting, right? And it's going to be up to you, because you do want to make sure folks who are absolutely steering clear of alcohol do not feel like they're excluded. And I have friends of mine who are alcoholics in recovery that will not attend events like that. I do not blame them. And we want to make sure that we have events that are inclusive of them and doesn't feel like it's a temptation or a problem for them because of the recovery. So definitely play that by ear, okay? We do have a group discussion slide. I'm going to skip past that for now because we've got a large enough group. And I want to talk about how are you assessing your progress toward member goals. This is your circle. You're entering and assessing data, and you're looking at that data, and you're using it to adapt or to reach or add new goals, which is going to make you plan that precinct event, which you're then going to hold, and you're going to capture the data from that start the assessment again. You again, I'm going to ask you guys, anybody in the military here has ever heard of the OODA loop? I'm going to type it in here for you. OODA loop. That is the military's observe, orient, decide, act. Okay. So you're going to observe the situation. You're going to orient yourself to it. You're going to make a decision based on the information you have. You're going to act. And once you're done, you're going to observe again. This is the same as the ARA, the AAR, the after action review is part of that observation report, right? And that's your enter and assessment of data. How did it go? What do we need to do different? Then the adaptation. Okay, we have it all in there. Here's what worked, here's what didn't. Let's add it, change to our next community event, and we're going to be more inclusive of this thing, or we're going to do it at a different time of day or a different day of the week. And we're going to plan the precinct event, rerun it again, and doing the enter and the assessment of data again. Okay. So, and Chris just dropped the OODA loop in there. Love it. Thank you. Discussion question. When you get a new member to join your event, what follow-up conversations do you want to have with that precinct member? When you get a new member to join your event, what follow-up conversations do you want to have with that precinct member? Personally, I'm not looking for the correct answer, quote unquote. I want to know what follow-up conversations do you want to have with that precinct member when you get a new member to join. Love it. How would they like to be involved? What are their strengths and passions? 100%. Start getting to know them really well, right? Did they enjoy the event? Okay. June actually has the best question. That's the first thing you should ask them. You're absolutely right. Did you like it? And then you move on to there. So that's the very first question. Did you enjoy yourself? And then you start, what tasks do you think you can do? So the first thing you're doing is you're starting to assess skills, starting to assess passion, intensity, right? What kinds of activities are you comfortable doing? Canvassing, phone banking, meet and greets. You're assessing capacity, you're assessing skill level, because you are eventually, you have the goal of escalation to leadership position for this volunteer. You have the goal of escalation to someone who can then also lead on their own. So you want to get a good idea of where they are with that, and that you want to get into that kind of conversation with them. So these are all great questions to go right out of the gate. Do they have follow-up questions? There you go, 100%. Hey, what do you think? What do you want to do? What did you think about everything you saw, right? I love it. I just put up a pic with 2 different QR codes on Facebook for folks to volunteer and donate. Told them what I needed, chimed in this and saying what they could do. Exactly. Use the techniques of the Tupperware lady. Yes. Remember, at the end of the day, and I'm checking my time here, I'm getting really close. Everything is sales, right? I mean, everything that we do in politics is sales. And if you're selling someone on getting involved in the party, right? You're selling someone on getting engaged. So 100%. I say this with no sense of irony, and I'm not kidding at all. I'm asking you to help me change the world, which sounds heavy-handed and far too deep, right? But isn't that what we're all doing? Aren't we all, in our own way, trying to change a little part of our own world? And isn't that why we are volunteering our time to do it? So make it sound as important as it is. I'm asking you if you want to help me change the world, and be absolutely earnest about that. And I am every time I talk to somebody. I really need you. We're going to elect this person for Register of Wills, or we're going to organize this precinct. But fundamentally, I'm asking you if you want to help change the world. And that's how important it is to me. And if you feel like it's that important to you, I really want you on my team helping me out. So that's how I approach that, is with that level of earnestness on that subject that I just said to you guys, right? Right, legally, 100%. Yes, I don't want anybody engaging in an insurrection or committing any forms of political violence. That is correct. We're going to change the world together under our legal framework. If you have any more questions, drop them in there for sure. I wanted to let you know about our suggested online course, Member Recruitment and Retention for Local Democratic Leaders. Again, if you haven't created an account at traindemocrats.org, please do so. It is 100% free. It is resources for you, Democratic candidates, staff, campaign workers, and obviously our tried and true in the trenches precinct and local party people. And then last but not least, I want to give you my personal email address. If you have any questions about specific things, I am more than happy to answer them in my free time. So I'm Chuck Cook, email address Cook Solutions. I would love to have your questions. Anything you need, just ask. And then that is it. I will stop sharing now, and I really appreciate my time with you guys today.
Hi, I'm Sung Chung, a program associate on NDTC Staff Academy team. To keep learning, check out more of our training videos and sign up for our full catalog at traindemocrats.org. Thanks for watching.